One of the things I really liked about Yardie was the kind of humanising of, or for use of a better word, like gangsters. Obviously, it reminded me of things like sort of Goodfellas in the sense that we get a real...
We're the same guy.
We're the same guy.
We're the same guy.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering about, was that one of the appeals to you? To try and understand these people, find the empathy towards them and... Yeah.
100%. I grew up on watching Goodfellas and Godfather, especially those two movies, and the journey of, Henry Hill and Michael Corleone. And I try to liken those journeys. I actually had images of all of those guys, including Taxi Driver and all of that stuff around my home at the time. So, that was the major appeal. Yardie was a word that, that I grew up here, and it was almost like a derogatory thing that people would say, oh, they're a Yardie. And so to get an inside access to who those people are, just human beings that happen to be in the criminal life, was really refreshing for me.
Is it right that you didn't know, when you first heard about this project and first got involved in it, you didn't actually know at that stage Idris Elba was going to be the director? And if so, that must have been quite a nice surprise when you found out he was.
It was. I mean, I knew it was an Idris Elba film, right? I knew he was associated. I thought he was just the executive producer. I didn't know he was the director. So like when I learned he was the director, so all the emotions that would have come out at home or somewhere else, I had to compose them because I found out in front of him. Yeah.
And I'll get the Idris Elba question out of the way, but what is he like as a director? Obviously, a lot of people want to know because it's his directorial debut. We love him in front of the camera. What's he like from behind the lens?
I think if you're an actor, work with him. He's going to bring the best out of you. He took me to a place as an actor, him being an actor himself that I admire a lot, that I've never been to. So I would definitely go work with him. I'd love to work with him again. In fact, Idris, hurry up, man. Let's do this.
He's amazing behind the camera, and I think that's because he's a brilliant actor. And so he knows what to expect. He knows what the thing should look like. And he also appreciates the actor's process. So he would say, this is exactly what I want to see, because he's a good director and also because he's a brilliant actor. He said, do what feels natural in the moment. You feel like doing this, you feel like crying, you feel like shouting, do that, And so he had a lot of options going into editing.
Yeah, do you think that's just generally the case? Do you think actors who become directors, they're in better stead in some ways because they know what it's like to be directed?
They know what it's like to be in front of the camera. They work with their directors and they see the decisions the directors make, so they have all of that.
And since the release of the film, obviously the Windrush Generations thing has obviously been all in the news. And I mean, suddenly some of the people being portrayed in this movie are now being forced out of their homes by the Home Office over here in the UK. Do you think that adds anything to the movie when you now revisit the film, when you watch it back? Is there a more sort of a profound relevance to this now that perhaps wasn't there when you started making the film?
I mean, for me personally, those people, they're my people, right? It could have been my family members had they not had their passports, So greatly sad, and I think the Jamaican, in terms of Yardie, the Jamaican contribution to the UK and London specifically in terms of culture, grime music, and all of that is such an important part of our history, and I think this contextualized that fusion of London. When London met Jamaica and had a baby, which is like me. Do you get what I'm saying? And so I think it's so important. And in terms of the Windrush thing, definitely a disappointing thing to hear. This is people that came to the country and after the Second World War. My grandparents told me, the article was, the streets are paved with gold. And then, to be asked to leave, feels really weird and sad. Not the London that I love.
So I was reading as well that you and Aml were messaging each other in character. How do you think that helped you both kind of come to terms with the roles you were portraying?
It definitely helps because the characters actually sent letters back then in the book. They sent letters. And so we got a better understanding because when Aml was messaging me as D, it wasn't normal letters. Like D, he doesn't talk much. And so I was like, okay, this is happening, and Yvonne sending emails, how are things? A lot of talking, which is a different thing. And so it was amazing. By the time I got here, D and Yvonne were familiar. It was just Aml and Shantol.
Because I grew up in Westbourne Park, so there's obviously...
You're West London.
West London,
right.
Yeah. But this highlights the sheer multiculturalism of London.
And that, especially being in West London, yeah. That's the mecca of it all.
Yeah. I mean, but do you think this film is really celebrating what's something to be proud of? Like you said, one of the things I took from this was I felt proud of London as one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I say this movie is like the centerpiece for a greater celebration, remembrance, and stamp of what that history is. we've got Notting Hill Carnival in like a week, right? Which I'm going to, and it's such, that to me is the London I love. Notting Hill Carnival in present day, the fusion of all cultures coming together in celebration of like being a Londoner.
What do you think of the struggles of breaking into the film industry as a Jamaican actress? Because I guess there is this kind of default setting, isn't there, where everyone's got to have an American accent or like an English accent.
It's very true. So like I've been doing self-tapes and it's either a standard American accent or a standard British accent. And I remember someone asking me this question. And to be honest, like because if you want to shoot an American film, you already have American actors in America, you know? So to come outside of America to pick someone, like the person has to be exceptional. And so it's harder for us, I think, to learn the accent and then learning the accent and staying in character. But I appreciate the challenge, so.
So how is your London accent?
I'll let you know.
But then I suppose...
But it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get a
I have a basic one.
Okay.
I have a basic one. But like London has different accents. You have the Hackney accent, and then you have like, there's this one that Aml told me, like you understand nothing they're saying because they're going really fast. But I'm learning all of them.
I guess in some ways it's great when projects like this do come about where you don't have to worry about accents. You get a really great role that's got a lot of depth to it and without having to worry about pandering to an American market or a British market or anything like that.
I mean, yeah, I love the fact that it's authentic, you know, so I was able to use my Jamaican accent, my Jamaican mannerisms, awesome. But not to say I don't appreciate the challenge. So if I get the opportunity to do an American film or a British film, like I dive into that because, as I said, I never want to be in a box. So like getting the opportunity to explore more and do more with your character is also amazing.
My final question then is, what's your go-to carnival tune?
Ooh.
Lucy.
Oh, yeah.
Lucy. I lose it, I lose it.
There's so many, man. I'm from St. Vincent as well, so we like soca. So it's any one of them soca as well. Yeah, jump left and right, left, right. Anything that gets us exercising, I love it.
Well, I'll try and find you this weekend.
Yeah. I'll see you, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey You Guys.